Here with reaction, House Intel Committee Ranking Member Devin Nunes and Fox News contributor Dan Bongino. Congressman, we know the real reason. Jim Jordan laid it out very articulately yesterday. They're scared to death of Durham's investigation. The facts we know, as we have them right now, should result in, I would argue, grand juries and indictments. And I think they're afraid of that big time.
Yeah, Sean, and we know what they do. When they're scared of you, they begin to attack you. So they can no longer ignore this Attorney General. It was an unhinged disaster for the Democrats yesterday. And you can tell, Sean, when they resort to name-calling, you realize that they have no campaign. They have nothing to campaign on. Can anybody tell me what they actually stand for? I mean, Biden's been in his basement still. At some point, Biden's going to have to come out of his basement, and the name-calling's not going to survive what ultimately I hope is the truth on what happened during the Russia hoax of 2016.
Dan Bongino, and it's also about law and order. I mean, the president's only protecting federal courthouses, which not only has a right but an obligation to do. Talking about 100 federal agents, and yet these mayors, these governors, and these Democratic politicians would have you believe that this is all by design, that all the violence for 60 some odd days in Portland, Seattle, all these cities is Donald Trump's fault. 100 agents in these cities protecting federal buildings? No, that wouldn't be Trump's fault.
I mean, these cities are all dominated by liberals. I don't know where that's asinine. I mean, that commentary is so ridiculous. You know, you should seek help from a mental health professional if you're going to go down that road. But can I just comment quick on this Durham report, Sean? There are 3 things we know now that are going to be really horrifying for the Democrats, okay? Number one, you know, we know that January meeting happened where we know Steele sources were garbage, okay? January of 2017. So what Mueller was doing, we still have no idea. We know that the FBI interviewed the translator in that meeting with Don Trump Jr. The translator said, no, Don Jr. is telling the truth. And I don't even like Don Jr. That's what the translator in the meeting said. And we now know FBI notes from January of 2017 said, hey, all those media stories about Trump contacts with the Russians, yeah, that's all a load of BS. So you should start asking the question right now, like I know Congressman Nunes has for a long time. What the hell was Bob Mueller doing if he knew all of this? I think that's what's going to come out in this report.
And we learned the recent documents released, they started this Russia thing not only at the end of July of 2016, but they actually were spying on, well, Donald Trump in the guise of, quote, talking to him about national security issues, Devin. And everybody was warned repeatedly. And then they knew for certain that the dirty dossier used as the bulk of information for the FISA applications, they knew from day one false, then they confirmed it false, then they keep going with 2 more renewal warrants.
Yeah, Sean, I think what really happened was this was meant to be an October surprise. They were trying to tie Donald Trump to Russia, likely to cover up for Hillary's problems with Russia. That's the irony here. And then they were desperate after the election to do something, and that's when the Obama administration really got involved. And that's when it really started to come out that the FBI was just using whatever they had to just continue this investigation. And that's going to be the problem because they had nothing. It was all fantasies of the Democrats.
All right. I want to thank you both. And by the way, Congressman Nunes told all of us the truth. Adam Schiff lied to the country. We now have the dates, what people were telling the committee, and what he was saying publicly. A congenital liar, compromised himself. Thank you both.